The 1914 birthday honours were appointments in the British Empire of King George V to various orders and honours to reward and highlight good works by citizens. The appointments were made to celebrate the official birthday of the king, and were published on the 19th of June 1914. The recipients of honours are displayed here as they were styled before the new honour, and arranged by honour, with classes and then divisions as appropriate. British Empire, Order of the Garter, Right Honourable William Earl Beauchamp, K.C.M.G. Order of the Thistle, Arthur Fitzgerald, Baron Kinnaird. Order of the Bath, Knight Grand Cross of the Order of the Bath Military Division, Admiral Sir Reginald Friend Hannam Henderson, K.C.B. Retired. General Sir Francis Reginald Wingate, CVOK, CBK, CMG, DSO, Sadr, Egyptian Army and Governor-General, Sudan Administration. General Sir Arthur Singleton Wynne, K.C.B. Retired Pay Colonel, the King's Own, and Keeper of the Dual House Tower of London. Civil Division, the Right Honourable Herbert John Viscount Gladstone, C.M.G. Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath Military Division, Rear Admiral David Beattie, C.B.M. VOD, SO Surgeon General Arthur William May, CBK, HP Rear Admiral Richard Henry Peace, CBM, VO Admiral Ernest Rice, retired. Vice Admiral the Honourable Sir Alexander Edward Bethell, K.C.M.G. Lieutenant General Herbert Eversley Belfield, CBD, SO, retired Pay Colonel, the Duke of Wellington's. Lieutenant General Ernest de Brath, C.B.C. IE, retired Pay, Indian Army. Lieutenant General Sir Malcolm Henry Stanley Grover, K.C.I.E. CB, Indian Army, commanding 4th Division, India. Colonel David Henderson, CBD, SO, Director General of Military Aeronautics, War Office. Colonel Stanley Brenton von Donop, C.B., Master General of the Ordnance and 4th Military Member of the Army Council. Civil Divisions, Sir John MacDonnell, C.B., King's Remembrancer, Richard Augustine Studd at Redmayne, ESQ, C.B., Chief Inspector of Mines, Home Office. Sir Thomas William Holderness, K.C.S.I., Under Secretary of State for India. Companion of the Order of the Bath Military Division, Colonel Herbert Guthrie Smith, Director of Artillery, War Office. Colonel Alexander William Roper, Chief Engineer, South Africa. Colonel George Francis William St. John, Hay, late Royal Artillery. Colonel the Honourable Cecil Edward Bingham, C.V.O., commanding 4th Cavalry Brigade. Colonel William Bernard Hickey, Assistant Quartermaster General, Irish Command. Colonel Francis John de Gex, Assistant Adjutant General, Irish Command. Colonel Robert Scott Kerr, M.V.O.D., S.O., commanding Grenadier Guards and Regimental District. Colonel Archibald John Chapman, General Staff Officer, 1st Grade, Northern Command. Colonel Charles Henry Uvedale Price, D.S.O., Indian Army. Colonel Gilbert Walter Palin, C.I.E., Supply and Transport Corps, India. Colonel Courtney Clark Manifold, M.B., Indian Medical Service. Colonel William George Walker, V.C., Commandant, 1st Battalion, 4th Gurkha Rifles, Indian Army. Colonel Havelock Hudson, C.I.E., General Staff, Northern Army, India. Lieutenant Colonel William Rice Edwards, C.M.G. M.D., Indian Medical Service. Civil Division, Rear Admiral Dudley Rawson Stratford de Chair, M.V.O. Captain Philip Wiley Doomer, C.V.O.R.N. Captain Frederick Charles Dreyer, R.N. Commander Mansfield George Smith Cumming, R.N. Retired. Commander Cecil Ryther Acklom, R.N. Retired. Paymaster-in-Chief Frederick James Crabb, R.N. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel Frederick John Smith, V.D. Territorial Force Reserve, 8th Battalion, the Cameronians, Major Charles Huther Montague Doughty Wiley, C.M.G., Member of the Albanian Delimitation Commission. The Honourable James Eric Drummond, Private Secretary to the Prime Minister, Sir Guy Francis Laking, Bart. M.V.O., Keeper of the King's Armoury and Curator of the London Museum. The Honourable Gerald William Lascelles, Deputy Surveyor, New Forest. Herbert James Reed, Esq. C.M.G., Principal Clerk, Colonial Office. William Henry Whiting, Esq., Superintendent of Construction Accounts and Contract Work, Admiralty. Order of the Star of India Knight Commander His Excellency Sir Arthur Amir Nguyen Sheikh Khazal Khan Ibn Haji Jabir Gatij K. CIE, Sheikh of Muhammad. Sheikh Mubarak bin Suba K. CIE, Ruler of Kuwait. Michael William Fenton, Esq., CSI, Indian Civil Service, Financial Commissioner, Punjab. Sir Harold Arthur Stewart, K. CVO, CSI, Indian Civil Service, an ordinary member of the Council of the Governor of Fort St. George. Colonel Sidney Gerald Burrard, CSIF, RSRE, Surveyor General in India. Companion Sheikh Isa bin Ali Al Khalifa, Chief of Bahrain, Sardar Daljit Singh of Jalandhur, Honorary Magistrate and an additional member of the Council of the Governor-General of India for making laws and regulations, Lieutenant Colonel Raj Kumar Birbikram Singh, C.I.E., Commandant of the Imperial Service Sappers of the Sirmur State, Punjab. Walter Maud, Esq., Indian Civil Service, temporary member of the Executive Council of the Lieutenant Governor, Bihar and Orissa. Bertram Somarekari, Esq., C.I.E., V.D., Burma Commission, Commissioner of the Zagaring Division, Burma. Michael Nethersail, Esq., Public Works Department, Inspector General of Irrigation, Government of India. Henry Ashbury Crump, Esq., Indian Civil Service, Financial Commissioner, Central Provinces, India. William James Reed, Esq., Indian Civil Service, Chief Secretary to the Chief Commissioner, Assam, and a member of the Council of the Chief Commissioner of Assam for making laws and regulations. Mysore Kantharaj Uars, Esq., member of the Mysore State Council. Oswald Vivian Bosanquet, Esq., C.I.E., Indian Civil Service, Political Department, Government of India, Agent to the Governor-General in Central India. Walter Gunnelwood, Esq., Chief Engineer and Secretary to Government in the Public Works Department, Buildings, Roads and Railways Branches, United Provinces of Agra and OUDH, and a member of the Council of the Lieutenant Governor for making laws and regulations. John Cornwallis Godley, Esq., M.A., Indian Educational Department, Director of Public Instruction, Punjab, and a member of the Council of the Lieutenant Governor of the Punjab for making laws and regulations. Order of St. Michael and St. George, Knight Grand Cross of the Order of St. Michael and St. George the Right Honourable the Earl of Liverpool, K. CMG, M.V.O. Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the Dominion of New Zealand, the Right Honourable Robert Laird Borden, Prime Minister of the Dominion of Canada. General Sir Henry MacLeod Leslie Rundle RAA, CBA, CVOK, CMG, D.SO, Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the Island of Malta. Admiral Sir De Hortbo Sanquet, CVOK, CB, late Governor of the State of South Australia. His Excellency the Right Honourable Sir William Conyngham Green, K.C.B., His Majesty's Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to His Majesty the Emperor of Japan. Knight Commander of the Order of St. Michael and St. George Walter Edward Davidson, Esq., C.M.G. Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the Colony of Newfoundland. George Smith, Esq. C.M.G. Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the Nyasaland Protectorate. The Honourable George Euless Foster, R.D., Minister of Trade and Commerce of the Dominion of Canada. The Honourable William Hill Irvin, R.D., K.C., Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Australia. Sir Benjamin Robertson, K.C.S.I., C.I.E., Chief Commissioner of the Central Provinces of India, in recognition of his services in connection with the Indian Inquiry Commission in the Union of South Africa. Major General Alexander John Godley, C.B., General Officer commanding the military forces of the Dominion of New Zealand. The Honourable Charles Eugene Boucher de Boucherville, C.M.G., Senator of the Dominion of Canada. William Hepworth Mercer, Esq. C.M.G., one of the Crown Agents for the Colonies. Lieutenant Colonel George Lancelot Ailes, C.M.G. M. Inst. C.E. Consulting Engineer for Railways to the Crown Agents for the Colonies. Murdoch MacDonald, Esq. C.M.G. M. Inst. C.E. Under-Secretary of State for Public Works, Egypt. Companion of the Order of St. Michael and St. George. William Barlow, Esq. R.D., Vice-Chancellor of the University of Adelaide. Gilbert Edmund Augustin Grindle, Esq. M.A. of the Colonial Office. Jasper Wrights Hoffmeyer, Esq. Clerk of the House of Assembly of the Union of South Africa. James Rankin Lysk, Esq. Secretary for Finance, Union of South Africa. Reginald Popham Lobb, Esq. Colonial Secretary and Registrar General of the Bermudas Asomers Islands. William Kirkpatrick McNaught, Esq. Member of the Legislative Assembly of the Province of Ontario. Major Harry Claude Morehouse, D.S.O. Secretary, Southern Provinces, Nigeria. Colonel John William Parnell, District Commandant, 3rd Military District, Commonwealth of Australia. Christopher James Parr, Esq. Mayor of the City of Auckland, in the Dominion of New Zealand. Albert Edward Stevenson, Esq. Director of Colonial Audit. Reginald Edward Stubbs, Esq. Colonial Secretary of the Island of Ceylon. Lieutenant Colonel George Llewellyn Douglas Swain, Inspector General of Constabulary, and Commandant of Local Forces of the Colony of Trinidad and Tobago. Christopher Alexander Sapara Williams, Esq. Unofficial member of the Legislative Council of the Colony of Nigeria. His Highness Muhammad Jamalulim bin Al-Mahum Sultan Hashim Jalalulim Ahmaddin, Sultan of Brunei. Frank Gerard Clemo, Esq. M.D. British Delegate to the Ottoman Board of Health. Harry Halton Fox, Esq. His Majesty's Consul General at Chengdu. Ernest Miles Hobart Hampton, Esq. Japanese Secretary to His Majesty's Embassy at Tokyo. Thomas Beaumont Hola, Esq. First Secretary in His Majesty's Legation in Mexico. Arthur King Lewis, Esq. Director General, Egyptian Customs Administration. Henry Edward Sly, Esq. His Majesty's Consul at Harbin. Major Lee Oliver Fitzmaurice Stack, Civil Secretary to the Sudan Government. Order of the Indian Empire Knight Commander Brian Edgerton, Esq. C.I.E. Controller General of Pegas, Hyderabad. Maharaja Giriyanath Ray Bahadur of Dinajpur, Bengal. Stephen George Sale, Esq. M.A., Barrister at Law, Legal Advisor and Solicitor to the Secretary of State for India. Companion Lieutenant Colonel William Molesworth, MBB, SC, Indian Medical Service, Surgeon, 1st District, and Superintendent, Medical School, Rayapuram, Madras. Philip Glynn Messend, Esq. M.ICE, Chief Engineer to the Bombay Port Trust. Lalu by Samaldas Mehta, ESQ, an additional member of the Council of the Governor of Bombay for making laws and regulations. Leonard Burley, ESQ, Indian Civil Service Magistrate and Collector of Dhaka, Bengal. Babu Mahendranath Ray, Vakil of the High Court of Judicature in Fort William, Bengal, and an additional member of the Council of the Governor of Bengal for making laws and regulations. Frank Frederick Lyle, ESQ, Indian Civil Service Magistrate and Collector of Muzaffarpur, Bihar and Orissa. Lieutenant Colonel George James Hamilton Bell, M.B., Indian Medical Service Inspector General of Prisons, Burma. Frank Gurilowy, ESQ, Public Works Department, India. Executive Engineer, Seniku Tagore Road Extension, Burma. Louise French, ESQ, Indian Civil Service Chief Minister, Kapurthala State, Punjab. Colonel Sidney Mercer Rennie, RA, Director of Ordnance Factories, India. Captain Walter Hugh Jeffrey, 73rd Carnatic Infantry, Indian Army, General Staff Officer, 3rd Grade, Army Headquarters, India. Richard Meredith, ESQ, Indian Telegraph Department, Director of Telegraphs, India. Albert Howard, ESQ, MA, Imperial Economic Botanist at PUSA, Bengal. Major Edward David Wilson Grieg, MBB, SC, Indian Medical Service, Assistant Director, Central Research Institute, Kasuli. Harold Arden Close, ESQ, Indian Police, Inspector General of Police, Northwest Frontier Province, India. Richard Hugh Tickle, ESQ, M.I.C.E., Public Works Department, India. Chief Engineer, Central Provinces, lately Superintending Engineer, Swat River Canal Circle, Northwest Frontier Province, India. Francis Samuel Alfred Slowcock, ESQ, Indian Civil Service, Inspector General of Police, Central Provinces and Beira. Lieutenant Colonel Fitzwarren Lloyd, V.D., Commandant, Assam Valley Light Horse. Major Arthur Leslie Jacob, Indian Army, Political Agent, ZHOB, Balochistan. Nawab Khair Bakhsh Khan Bahadur, Commander of the Mari Tribe, Balochistan. Thomas Summers, ESQ, D, SCM, ICE, late Bombay Public Works Department. Henry James Wagley Fry, ESQ, Director General of Stores, India Office. Haji Muhammad Ali, Rayat Tujar, of Mahamah. Royal Victorian Order, Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order Granville George Earl Granville, C.V.O. Lord-in-Waiting to the King. Knight Commander of the Royal Victorian Order the Rev. Canon Edgar Shepherd, C.V.O. D.D., Sub-Dean of the Chapels Royal. Major General Frederick Spencer Robb, C.B.M. V.O. Major General in charge of administration, Aldershot Command. Commander of the Royal Victorian Order Lionel Henry Cust, ESQ, M.V.O. Surveyor of the King's Pictures and Works of Art. James Sand, ESQ, R.A. Portrait Painter to Queen Victoria. Member of the Royal Victorian Order, 4th Class Major Robert Joseph Atkinson Terry, Royal Sussex Regiment, Provost Marshal, Aldershot. Harold Robert Dacre Spitter, ESQ, M.D., Bacteriologist to His Majesty's Household. Member of the Royal Victorian Order, 5th Class Herbert George Sotheby, ESQ, of the Private Secretary's Office, Buckingham Palace. William Richard Codling, ESQ, of His Majesty's Stationery Office. Companions of the Imperial Service Order Home Civil Service William Elliot Collector of Customs and Excise, Glasgow. William Evans, Chief Examiner and Visiting Inspector of Contracts, War Office. William Richard Kerr, Principal Clerk, Office of Works. William George Newton, Deputy Controller, Stationery Office. John Tenney, Principal Clerk, Exchequer and Audit Department. Colonial Civil Service Richard Hallowes Addison, Chief Native Commissioner, Natal Union of South Africa. Francis Cyrus Bertu, Controller and Auditor General of the Colony of Newfoundland. Alexander Malcolm Campbell, Government Secretary, Territory of Papua. William Himsworth, Deputy Minister of Inland Revenue, Dominion of Canada. Henry Turner Machen, Assistant Treasurer of the Province of Quebec. George Cowie Morrison, Public Service Commissioner of the State of Victoria. Thomas Ronayne, lately General Manager of the New Zealand Railways. Ernest Daniel Rowland, MB, lately Resident Surgeon, Public Hospital, Georgetown, Colony of British Guiana. William Sutherland, lately Native Commissioner of the Colony of Fiji. John Trump, Mintche, lately Director of Public Works, Federated Malay States. Hagapasov Omspan Translator of State Documents, Chief Secretary's Office, and Turkish translator to the Legislative Council, Cyprus. William Marshall Vorden, Superintendent of Public Works and Surveys, Colony of Seychelles. Indian Civil Service William Houston Treasurer, late Assistant Solicitor to the Secretary of State for India. Edward Holroyd Gadsden, Superintendent, Central Jail, Coimbatore, Madras. Manmathanath Ghosh, MABL, Provincial Civil Service, Deputy Magistrate, Bengal. James Guy Harris, Provincial Civil Service, Superintendent, Office of the Commissioner, Mandalay Division, Burma. Ray Bahadur Tilak Chand, Provincial Civil Service, Extra Assistant Commissioner in the Punjab. Frank Luca, Superintendent, Government Press, Allahabad, United Provinces. Shankamado Chidnavis B.A. Statutory Civil Service, Deputy Commissioner, Chindwara, Central Provinces and Beira. Arthur Henry Wilsony, Superintendent at the Office of the Inspector General, Imperial Service Troops. Babu Kanti Bhushansen, Provincial Civil Service, Deputy Magistrate and Deputy Collector, Personal Assistant to the Commissioner of Chota Nagpur, Bihar and Orissa. Gilbert Franklin Wynne, Registrar in the Home Department of the Government of India. Rao Bahadur Anand Sadashiv Tambay, Deputy Assistant Political Agent, Junagadh State, Bombay Presidency. Imperial Service Medal Parambalan Moidan Kutty, Pensioned Havildar, Divisional Office, Malappuram, Malabar District, Madras. Gangadhan, late Jamadapian in the Office of the Superintending Engineer and Secretary to the Agent to the Governor-General in Central India in the Public Works Department. Muhammad Ismail, later Daftari in the Foreign and Political Department of the Government of India. Appointments to Colonel-in-Chief Her Majesty the Queen of the 18th Hussars, Her Majesty Queen Alexandra of the 19th Hussars and the Alexandra, Princess of Wales' Own, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal of the 7th Dragoon Guards. Her Royal Highness Princess Louise, Duchesses of Argyll of the Princess Louises. Promotions Royal Navy Commanders to the rank of Captain. Hugo T. A. Coghill Somerville, Henry Fitzroy George Talbot, Robert Cathcart Campbell Lambert, Humphrey Wycombe Bowring, George Michael Keane, John Foster Grant Dalton, Alfred Astley Ellison, Herbert Neville Garnett, Herbert McKeever Edwards, Charles Edward Whately Padoke, Rudolph Miles Burmester, David Thomas Norris, Tufton Percy Hamilton Beamish, George Parish Ross, Henry Wise Parker, Oliver Backhouse, Oliver Schwan, Lieutenant Commanders to the rank of Commander. Arthur Douglas Barrow, Malcolm Henry Summerled MacDonald, Philip Henry Trimmer, Reginald Henniker Heaton, Robert Stewart Roy, Harold Edmund Dennison, James Jeffrey Penrose Ingham, Charles Stewart Forbes, Thomas Bodley Scott, Bernard William Murray Fairbairn, Henry Gerard Lawrence Oliphant, Charles Arthur Scott, Francis George Gilliland Chilton, Francis Mary Hodgson, Harold Brisbane Bedwell, Roger Lestrange Murray Reid, Gerald Charles Dickens, Hugh Dennis Marriott, Arthur Horace Walker, Kenneth Browninger, Henry Francis Howard Wakefield, Roland Cecil Sneed Hunt, Loftus William Jones, John Peter Ralph Marriott, Henry George Thursfield, Colin Alfred Molyneux Sarell, Gilbert George Pierce Hewitt, Dashwood Fowler Moyer, Arthur Edward Frederick Bedford, Francis Loftus Tottenham, Frederick Gerald Stuart Pale, James Gordon Fraser, Sidney Robert Bailey, Hartley Russell Gwinnett Moore, Basil Edward Rynell, Frederick Avenel Somerville, Alfred Headley Norman, Geoffrey Blake. Royal Naval Reserve Commanders to be Captain Herbert James Haddock, C.B. Road, Owen Jones, Road James Thomas Walter Charles, C.B. Road, Charles Alfred Bartlett, Road. Honorary Commanders to be Honorary Captain Walter Ernest Hutchinson, Robert Cumming McPhee, Edward Collins, Charles McKeever, Henry McKeever, the Right Honourable Earl Brassey, G.C.B., John McNabb, John Bell White, Sir Charles Edward Healy Chadwick Healy, K.C.B., K.C., the Most Honourable the Marquess of Ormond, K.P., Sir Richard Henry Williams Bulkley, B.T., appointed Honorary Captain Alfred Hamilton Frushard Young, Sir Owen Phillips, K.C.M.G., Harold Sanderson, Lieutenants promoted to the rank of Commander Arthur Edward Dunn, Henry Lavington Walton, appointed Honorary Commander Charles Smith Creighton, Percy Hamilton Rolfe, Thomas Francis Campbell, George Montague Hicks, John Campbell Drummond, Edward Lionel Fletcher, Charles Wood Gordon, appointed Honorary Chief Engineer James Edgar Wimshurst, Roderick Morrison. Promotions on the retired list. Commanders to be Captain James Logan Parfitt, David Wilson Barker, Harvey William Broadbent, Road. Lieutenants to be Commander Harris Lewis Wilson, Alexander Hugh Hope Gibson Douglas, Road. George Lee King, Francis Melville Tew, William Burville Holmes, Richard John Null, Army to Major for services in connection with the military wing, Royal Flying Corps, Captain George Hebden Raleigh, the Essex Regiment, Captain John Harold Whitworth Beck, the Sherwood Foresters, Captain John Maitland Salmond, the King's Own, Captain Charles Alexander Holcombe Longcroft, the Welsh Regiment, Honorary Chaplain to His Majesty Reverend John M. Sims, D.D., Chaplain to the Forces.